Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to another December daily video. So in this video, I'm working on days 8 and 9, and they should be quick, but I'm excited to show you what I've got in mind. But before I do that, I wanted to show you this little piece that I made over the weekend. So I've seen a lot of really cool quotes and carols that have been cut out with the silhouette this way, and I wanted to try it as well. And this is just the "Oh Holy Night" quote that I created, and I just did it in Photoshop and I took it over to my silhouette. If you guys are interested in this file, I will do my best to figure out how to download it so you guys could have it also. It's not hard to do, but it does take a couple extra steps. So if you can have the file, why not have the file? And I absolutely love this song. But anyway, so I was just thinking of cutting it out and putting it into my album, and then, you know, maybe having a photo or something behind it. But what I decided to do was actually cut out two. So one is front way and the other one I cut out backwards. So I did the exact same thing in the front of my album. And then you can see that I decided to go ahead and I put a transparency underneath that has these little gold stars. So hopefully you guys can see that on the video really well. I thought that was really cool because you are still able to see through. Now right now I actually have it in my album right here. I don't know if it's going to stay here or not. I'm just going to leave it here for now. I may end up moving it based on what, you know, comes next in the album, because what I'm going to do for day 8 is actually do my Christmas cards. This is our Christmas card this year, so I'm just going to throw it in. It's going to be really easy because I'm just going to put, I think this is very similar to last year, which was not intentional, but you know, you like what you like, right? So I think I'll just end up putting just a number on here, just a small number, add holes, and then just stick it right into my album. I don't need to do any journaling or anything like that. So day 8 is going to come together really quickly, and then day 9 I'm going to create a pocket. So let's just get started, you guys, and see how it goes. All right, you guys, so like I said, this is going to be a really quick day. I'm really just punching in the holes, and then I'm just going to go ahead and add the numbers. So instead of using the 6-hole punch, I decided to punch them out using the hole punch tool. This is from American Crafts, or I think it's We Are Memory Keepers actually. And I did this because it is a 5x7 photo or card, and it kind of hung out a little bit. So I wanted it to be slightly to the left of the page protector, or it's going off the side on the left of the page protector, just slightly, not a ton, just so that it wouldn't hang over too much on the right side. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, like I mentioned, I was just going to do something similar that I did last year, which is to add that number, that circle number right on top. I really loved the pop of red and that it was a circle right on top of the card. So that is going to complete day 8. I didn't do any journaling or anything like that. It was just the photo, and that was totally sufficient for me. I just really wanted to get my card in there. I can't even tell you how many times I've sent Christmas cards over the years, like early in our marriage, and I have not saved them, or I don't know where they're at, so I'm not entirely sure what we sent. Anyway, I'm moving on. So I am working on day 9, and for day 9, I thought I would take these tags that Allie made and add them into a pocket. So these tags have everyone in my family's names, their ages, and ask them questions like, what is their favorite holiday food, and what are they most looking forward to, and what are they thankful for right now? This is the tag that Allie actually used in her December daily last year. So I will link it below. I'm pretty sure I got it from her blog, but it's possible that this was a digital file that you needed to purchase. But I will find it and I will link it for you guys below so you have it. So the first thing that I wanted to do was, I was looking for pattern papers that I wanted to back it. So the vellum is actually going to be the pocket, and I'm creating it right now. So my page is a 6x8. It's a little bit bigger than a 6x8. It's probably 6.5 by 8 and 1/4. And then of course my vellum piece is just a little bit bigger on either side, so that what I end up doing is I will fold the sides around the piece of paper instead of, adhering it on top of the paper. Because it is vellum, I decided to fold it under. So that's what I'm going to do. And instead of making it a pocket that goes straight across, I thought it would make it kind of like a secretarial pocket that was diagonal. So you can see that I just drew a line there, and I actually had to take it to my big cutter because I wasn't able to fit it into that smaller cutter there. So I drew a line to just kind of help me eyeball it, get it where I wanted it to go, went ahead and cut it out. And now I'm making some little marks so that I can actually score this. And it turns out that the easiest thing to do is actually just to lay the piece of paper on top of the vellum and then fold it over. This vellum was pretty thick, and I was trying to be really delicate because I have some vellums that are a little bit thinner, and you really have to kind of press down on that score in order to really get a good score line so you can fold it nicely. So just keep that in mind. You probably want to press a little bit harder than you think if you're using thicker vellum like this. I don't know what poundage this is. This is actually a vellum that came from American Crafts. I got it on scrapbook.com. I believe they still have it. I'm not sure. I will link it below if I can find it for you guys. All right, so you can see that I'm just continuing to fold over the vellum. And like I mentioned, I thought it was so much easier to lay the pattern paper on top of the vellum and then just fold it up. It definitely ensured that I got it in the right place instead of having to measure everything out with my scoreboard and then wondering if I got my measurements correct. So that seemed to be the easiest way to go ahead and do it. And then the next thing I did after I scored it is I cut off the corners so that it would fold easier onto the piece of paper and it actually have a better finish. And then I went ahead and I added adhesive onto the folds, so onto the inside of the fold, so that when it folds down, the adhesive will be on the inside. And I used some score tape because it's actually really strong. But what's so awesome about this score tape is while it really holds well, it doesn't hold really well unless you really push it down and kind of burnish it into the paper, which was awesome because in the end, actually, after I have this 100% finished, I decided that the pattern paper, though I love it and I love the whimsy of it, it was a little too light for me. And I wanted something a little bit darker. So I actually switch it out with the Santa paper that's got the dark green background, but you'll see that in the end when I'm finished with it. It was just one of those things that once I had it in my album, I just really wanted it to be a little bit darker. And it actually took probably like 5 minutes or less to just kind of pull back the tape and then adhere the different paper to it. So anyways, totally fine to change your mind, not a big deal. All right, so I am now wanting to add some trim to the top of my tags. So I'm just pulling over the trim that I've used in the past, some holiday trim. And as I was looking through the trim, I thought, my pocket really needs a little something more. And I think part of that was because the paper was so light, but I wanted to add something just to the pocket just to kind of make it stand out and separate it from the paper. So I grabbed over that Fa La 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 washi tape that came with the Merry Days collection, and I used that, I believe, on my title. Was it my title page? And then you'll just see me continue to add trim to the tags. And I actually edit through this just so you guys don't have to watch me fiddle with all of the trim, because I'm sure you get the point. I grabbed some trim, tried to put it together so it was pleasing. That was a little bit harder for some reason. And then just stapled it right on to the photo. I thought stapling it would make it a little less bulky than putting it through an actual hole. So here you go. I've kind of bypassed working on everything, and You can see that I've got some greens and some reds, and then, you know, some that have multiple, and then I've got some gold in there also. So one of the things that I was considering at this point was how I was going to add it to the album. Like, I hadn't thought, oh, do I add holes? Do I back this with something else? Like, it hadn't even occurred to me how I was going to add this to my album. And I decided to add the holes because I had this space and it was not going to mess up the tags at all. But for a minute there, I was kind of panicked, like, oh no, do I need to put this on a backing? But it worked out just fine. All right, so I was looking at that gold trim and I decided that I thought it would be really cute if I added it right underneath the Fa La 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 washi tape. Like, I felt like it kind of needed a little something and I thought it would really add. So you'll see that I end up putting that on there. But first, I guess I am looking at the numbers that I want to add. And that 9 was actually a 6 that was sitting on the table. But I really like those white with the gold dots. So I was happy that I picked those up this year. I think I didn't originally get them and then I went back to get them. And I'm really happy that I ended up doing it because they just go with so many things and I love the subtle gold. Okay, so now you can see that I'm wanting to add the trim and I was trying to decide how to do it. Like, I was thinking of actually putting adhesive on the trim. And then I remembered that I had this glue, this liquid glue. And what's so great about this liquid glue is when you put it down, it's, you know, liquid. And then as it dries tacky. And so once it started to dry, I was really able to add the gold right down and it did stick. However, I sort of give this trim lasting maybe a year, maybe. It's not on that sturdy. I might need to go back and actually just redo it one more time with the glue just because I can tell it has the potential of pulling up big time. So just keep that in mind. Maybe because that liquid glue actually goes on clear, like it actually goes on blue, but it dries clear. So I should have probably added a little bit more than I thought, made it like a little bit goopier, and that way it probably would have stuck down a little bit better. But it does stick down. You'll see at one point when I'm kind of touching it, it kind of pulls up. So just something to keep in mind if you're going to add a delicate trim. Don't feel bad if it ends up falling off at some point. All right, so the last thing that I'm going to do is actually put on the number. And yes, I do remember that it is day 9 and to flip it around. So you can see that trim's kind of pulling up a little bit there. I just add some score tape to the back of that. And then I'm just going to add the 9 right on there. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to be done with this day, except for the fact that I do end up changing the paper. And like I said, it really did not take me much time, probably less than 5 minutes to just cut down the paper and then peel it back and stick it back on. So not a big deal at all. And then I'm just trying to get that centered. And if, obviously if it's not 100% centered, it's not a big deal, but I'm trying to do the best that I can there. And then I think that I'm going to, next scene that you're going to see is actually with the green backing. So there you can see it with the green backing. So you can decide for yourself which one you liked better. I honestly would have been fine with either one, but for some reason with my card and how rich those colors were and the tags being so white, I just really wanted something a little bit darker. Anyway, you guys, that is it for days 8 and 9. I was actually going to try and tack on day 10, but it made this video about 40 minutes long, so I'm going to do it on its own. So look for that one coming up as well. Thank you so much for joining me and supporting this channel. If you like what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.